What's going on, y'all? I'm Brandon Atlanta Man Bang, coming to you live right here, Coach's Corner, the center of the universe. Another episode of Rubbin' and Grubbin'. Rubbin' is tasting, or rubbin' is racing, grubbin' is tasting. It's been a long week, if you can't tell already, y'all. Hey, but thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Got a lot to go over. An exciting race there at Talladega. We're going into one of my favorite places to watch a race, Dover. Just a lot of things we got going on in the news, man. So we're going to waste no time and get right into it. But I do want to start tonight out with giving a big shout-out, happy birthday shout-out out there to Austin Dillon. Had a great run there again at Talladega, and he's a great supporter of us here at Rubbin' and Grubbin'. So happy birthday, brother. Hope your day is great. Maybe that brings you a little bit of luck, and go get that first win of the season here coming up at Dover, man. But moving right into it, if you tune into the show, you know how we like to start it out. We're going to start it out with the word of the day. Basically, every time I say a word during tonight's show, you're going to take a sip of your favorite adult beverage. Hey, I always say it's age appropriate as well. Kids can play along. If you're under the age of 21, it's Wednesday, it's hump day. We're getting inching closer to the end of the school year, man. Get some Coca-Cola, get some sweet tea, get a Red Bull, get jacked up, stay up late here on a Wednesday, man. So last week's word of the day was Talladega. We raced there, so you know that got dropped quite a few times. If you played along, hopefully you were drinking beer, because if you weren't, you were probably wasted by the time the show was over. So tonight's word of the day is going to be, I have no idea, but every time I say it tonight, make sure you take a sip of your favorite adult beverage, y'all. Moving right into some NASCAR news, man. Biggest thing, some of the biggest things I saw coming out, hey, NASCAR becoming international. They did an interview with Steve Phelps out there. Pretty much the man, the myth, the legend that's kind of in the front seat, driver's seat of where NASCAR is headed as an organization. They've got a lot of money right now. They definitely cut some costs there, bringing in the next-gen car, not only for teams, but them as well. So you got to look at it like this. There's talk of them going international. And at the end of the day, this won't be the first time that NASCAR Cup Series has even went international. I remember in my day, don't remember the exact year there in the 90s, they had a road course race in Japan. That was the first time they ever put a windshield wiper on a Cup car. And we've seen them race in Mexico. We've seen other series race in Canada still. So to me, I don't think it's something that I think we should venture into. What he was basically saying is that Coliseum Clash, the stadium racing, could be kind of an event where they travel with it. We're getting into a whole different world when we do that, something similar to Formula One. That's just not my forte. That's what NASCAR is. To me, NASCAR is strictly American. I think it should stay on American soil. I've said it a million times before. Now, whether that means we build brand new racetracks, we get some of these guys that have made the money off these tracks for so many years to invest and build some new ones. We've got rumors, there again at California and Roger Penske turning that into a short track. So there's going to be some changes that are already happening on top of the changes we're making now. Like I said, to me, just needs to stay right here on American soil, new racetracks, maybe going back to some of the older racetracks twice, like Dover, like we used to. But we'll just have to see what NASCAR does with the schedule coming up. At the end of the day, it's their ball game. They make the rules. But to me, it needs to stay right here, classic good old NASCAR in the United States of America, man. Ross Chastain, second driver this year to win multiple races, man. I tell you, I can promise you at the very beginning start of this season, there was no way that I would have ever said that Ross Chastain comes away with 2 wins out of the first 10. That's just me. Trackhouse has done a great job building that organization from last year, and as soon as it seems like they purchased and got a hold of Chip Ganassi Racing, it only elevated their team that much better. And I can tell you, you can look and see that Trackhouse with Pitbull and Marks are not playing around. They're putting the money in. They've got it figured out, I think, a little bit better than a lot of these bigger organizations do right now. I think the main thing is to see how many stage points that these two drivers, Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez, can accumulate to see what kind of position it puts him in when we get closer to the playoffs. But as of right now, he's hot, man. Only other guy other than William Byron to win more than one race this year. So we'll have to see how long that lasts. And to be honest, it was neat. He did it with the same car he won on a road course at a super speedway. So that just tells you how, versatile this brand new car is, man. Mr. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, Bill Elliott himself, is set to race in a couple SRX races this year. I think that's going to be awesome. It's amazing to see that a guy with Bill Elliott's age getting up there still has a passion to go out there and do some dirt racing and stuff there with SRX. I think that's absolutely awesome, man. So look forward to seeing him out there. He was always my great Uncle Barry, my Uncle King's favorite driver. Kind of alludes to why I picked up Chase Elliott when he came in. Just kind of a family tradition thing. We're gonna pull for same families as well, man. So, like I said, just going to have to wait and see what goes down with that, and maybe he might be able to sneak a win out over there. But Jeffrey Earnhardt, man, we all talked about that last week if you tuned in. He was in that iconic 3 Richard Childress car in Xfinity, kind of paying tribute in a way to his grandfather. And, man, I tell you what, he was so close to getting that win there. I finished second, and what was it, Lauren? 2-3 overtimes, I'm pretty sure, somewhere around in there. Man, I tell you what, I really hope the kid gets some opportunities and some good equipment. I think he just showcased what he can do at least at four times a year at 4 different, at Talladega and Daytona. He just showcased the super speedway. I mean, it must be something in the Earnhardt blood, because pretty much everyone that's done it, other than a couple, is really, really good at it. So big shout out to him, and big congrats for him going out there and having such a solid run in that 3 car for Childress. So, hey, big shout out to my social media, man. If you guys have not yet, please go out, like, share, follow all our social media. You can catch us on Facebook. You can catch us on Instagram. You can catch Rubbin and Grubbin or myself on Twitter. And definitely make sure you go check out that YouTube channel, Rubbin and Grubbin. Subscribe, like, share, follow, spread the love. I say it all the time. We do that. The more eyes I get on the show, hopefully the more money we raise for these charitable causes and events that we do here at Coaches. Because ultimately, I love talking about NASCAR. I love seeing all my friends. I love drinking cold beer. But I do love raising money for good causes as well. So hopefully, you guys go out, like, share, follow, all that social media. Let's blow it up and raise some money, man. Kyle Busch leaving JGR. I touched base on this. I think in the off-season this year, we brought something up about this when it first started getting talked about with Ty Gibbs. We all know Ty Gibbs is going to be the guy that fills into that Joe Gibbs car. Now, Ty Gibbs has become the new villain of NASCAR in a way, right? And he's kind of put himself out there to race aggressively, and he's only going to be race more aggressive. But with the amount of races he's winning and the consistency that he's showing now, I will say A.J. Allmendinger's putting on it, a little bit in the Xfinity Series right now. I think he's got like a 40-point lead, maybe a little bit more than that. So he's got some catching up to do, but there again, big talent. But back to Kyle Busch, I mean, he doesn't have a sponsor landed yet. There again, we're only 10 races through this season. I think the longer we go, there's going to be somebody out there that's going to be willing to at least do a partial sponsorship with him. I mean, let's be honest. He's still a great young race car driver. He's 36, 37. He's my age. He's already done huge things in his career. He's already set record books. He's only going to continue to do that. 2-time NASCAR champion, 60-plus wins in the Cup Series, 18 straight years with a win. I mean, he's going to break Petty's record next year. We know that. But at the end of the day, man, I don't see him leaving. I think a lot of people are building this up a little bit more. I think there's 2 guys before him, as I talked about earlier in the year, Martin Truex Jr. and Denny Hamlin. I could see both those guys leaving before Gibbs lets go of Busch. Now, there might be some things behind the scenes that we as fans don't know about. Maybe there's a disconnect between Gibbs himself and Kyle Busch, or the race teams and himself, or the organization and himself. But at the end of the day, I don't think there's going to be anybody that would ever be upset out there to pick up a Kyle Busch. I mean, I know Stewart-Haas wouldn't be upset with it. I know Penske probably wouldn't be upset with it. I mean, it just depends on there, again, that sponsorship and what can happen with it. But we'll have to wait and see if he makes it. But at the end of the day, him leaving the sport or leaving JGR right now, to me, is just complete bullshit. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Swear bucket. Checkered flag for charity. $1 goes in, y'all. All right, so Denny Hamlin, to complete sensitivity training. Yet another one falls victim to the social media craze of posting whatever it is in your business out there for everybody to see. I just think it's absolutely insane. I know him and Kyle Larson are really good friends. If you hadn't read anything about it, he sent a meme out. It was Family Guy. We all know how Family Guy is. Funny show, makes fun of all kinds of different races of people. Gets a little bit crazy with some of it. But he posted it kind of directing his anger towards Kyle Larson. Basically, it stems from him being a car owner. Bubba Wallace, Kurt Busch, both right up front, both contending. Kyle Larson's contending. He made a move, kind of pushed some guys to the outside, got some guys a little bit weird. Both those cars ended up wrecking and not getting really good finishes or the win. So I can understand his frustration. I can understand what was going on. But there again, at the end of the day, to me, I just think it's something that you got to keep your mouth shut. You got to keep wraps. In today's day and age, man, there's no room for any of that anywhere. So we'll get a little bit more into it here in another segment of the show. But as of right now, That was a dumb move on his part. He's got to pay the cost to be the boss, man. He's going to take the sensitivity training, as we've seen numerous other drivers do, and hopefully he comes out on the other side of it a little bit more educated about sensitivity towards minorities and different folks in general, man. Hey, be on the lookout for Team Hendrick in 5 Xfinity races this year. Junior Motorsports is going to run an 88 car. Kyle Larson, William Byron, and Chase Elliott are all going to take their shares racing over these 5 races in Xfinity. Man, I think it's awesome. I think it's great for the Xfinity Series. I think it's great for JR Motorsports. And I think it's great for all 3 of those drivers to get a little bit more seat time. I don't know how much information carries over from that Xfinity car into that next-gen race car, but the more seat time you can get behind the wheel earlier on a track, I think the better you're going to do. So be on the lookout for those Hendrick boys in Xfinity Series. So want to give a big shout out, my main man, Mr. Parker Eccles over there at Arbor Man Tree Service, one of my main sponsors on the show up here. As I say all the time, locally owned, locally operated, any kind of tree needs you need, man. Stump grinding, tree removal, cutting back some limbs, whatever it may be, make sure you give Parker Eccles a call. You'll see that number scrolling on the screen tonight. Such a great dude. Even if you just need an estimate, man, tell him to come by, take a look. He's going to be straight up with you, let you know what you can slide by on, let you know probably what needs to be taken care of, if anything. But make sure you give him a call over there at Arbor Man Tree Service. As I say all the time, no job too big, too small, no tree too tall. Give Parker a call. Love you, brother. So moving right into my favorite part of the whole show, the checkered flag for charity, man. This is basically one of the main reasons why I do this. What we do is every single car number that wins every week goes into that swear bucket. We save that up along with the charity events we do here at Coaches and all the patrons out there that have donated into those causes so far this year. Thanks. We got many more coming up. But there again, we take that money and we give it to a cause that all stays local right here in the area of Savannah, man. So this year, I've said it, we're doing it for a friend of ours, mine and my wife, Lindsay, that passed away tragically in her sleep. Just passed away. She had left behind a younger daughter. We're raising money up here for an educational fund to set this little girl up there again later on in her life for her needs education-wise. So we all know Ross Chastain won. Dollar's never good enough. Anything outside of Christopher Bell, that 20 car is always a $20 bill. That's 20 more that's going in, man. So that brings our grand total to, I think, right over $1,100 when it's all said and done. I think we're at $1,105 right now. I didn't get a chance to make it up last week to do a Cooler Full of Joy, as we like to call it, but here coming up May 7th, I'm pretty sure is that Leonard Skinner concert here in the Sound Garden at Coaches. I will definitely be here. We are going to have a great giveaway or raffle there for this charity. So definitely make sure you come out to that show, check it out. And as I say all the time, if you come up to Coaches, you're eating lunch or having dinner, having some drinks with the guys after work, you want to donate, ask your waitress, man, ask your waiter, go to a bartender, ask them. If you see John and Dale Henderson out there walking around, ask them. They're going to make sure that that money gets to the right place. As I say all the time, doesn't matter, nickels, pennies, dimes, 10, 20s, 150s, whatever you got to donate, make sure you come up and donate and throw that thing in there, man. It all stays local right here in Savannah. John and Adele Henderson have been doing this for so many years up here for so many great causes. Absolutely amazing folks, and I love the fact they allow me to do this up here as well. So need you guys' help as patrons of Coach's Corner and as Savannaians. Let's donate. Let's get some money for this little girl to go to college and her needs here when she gets older in her life, man. Moving right into that second favorite segment, the who's hot and who's not. And we got a couple good ones to talk about, man. But taking over the who's hot right now, it's got to be Ross Chastain, man. I mean, the guy has had 2 wins there in a 2-year team. You know, Trackhouse has only been an organization for 2 years, and he's got them their first 2 wins. And he did it in the same car as a road course and a super speedway. So there again, it just speaks volumes on how versatile these brand new race cars are and what kind of engineers they got over there at Trackhouse, man. To me, honestly, I think they're one of the first ones to get it figured out. They got it figured out, and until somebody catches up, you might see these guys win a couple more races. So, hey, Ross Chastain, the watermelon man himself right now, I'm sure he's going to be busting some more melons before the year's over with. Love that after the race, went up to the fan. The fan wanted a piece of the watermelon. He broke him off a piece of the rind, let him have a little taste of that Florida watermelon, man. But I tell you what, Ross Chastain's doing his thing. Watch out. Depending on where he goes, like I said, those stage points and this and that, you might see him down there in Championship 4 and when we get to Phoenix this year. Who knows? It's possible, right? So keeping it going on, man. New faces for old races, right? I mean, we've seen so many new faces in victory lane, so many new faces running up front, and all that is because of this next-gen race car, man. I think it really leveled the playing field when these big organizations aren't able to build their chassis, aren't able to build their rotors, aren't able to manipulate parts in a way in their shop. NASCAR's mandating all those parts. Here, bolt it together, set it up, come to the racetrack, get your info, plug it in, figure it out. And I tell you, it is awesome, man. We are seeing new guys week in and week out contend for these wins that we're not used to seeing up there. So if you watched last weekend's race, Eric Jones, man, great little race car driver, came out of Xfinity, spent some years over there at Gibbs and some other places. The kid's got some talent. Almost got him a win there at Talladega. I mean, there's just so many different guys that come out every week, it seems like. We've got some of the older faces up there, but we got a lot of young new guys that are putting themselves in the hat to get these wins as well. So I think it's something great for the sport right now. I think we're growing in the right direction. I think it's becoming competitive, more competitive. Next few years, I think we're all going to see a little bit of a change there again. These big organizations will catch up. But for right now, I'm going to sit back and enjoy seeing some of these guys finally get to showcase their talent out there against some of the guys that we always know are going to be up front, not only due to their equipment, but their racing ability as well. So big shout out to all those new faces up there, man. So Kyle Busch, man, seems to be finding his own. I'll give him on the hot list as well. I mean, third place finish there at Talladega. We saw him turn around, win the Bristol dirt race there. Had an amazing car at Bristol. Not going to take anything away from him. You know he's not one of my favorite drivers, cup of tea per se, but I'm never going to take anything away from anybody that earns it. The man's definitely earned it. So we all know, we've seen him do it in the past. That guy starts heating up and getting hot, he's liable to win 4, 5, 6 races. So I think they're kind of getting some things figured out over there in the 18 camp. I won't say they're figuring out as a whole for Joe Gibbs Racing right now, but in that 18 camp, I think that's the best bet they got at locking down a win here coming up very soon. So there again, got to give shout out and give some props when it's due. Kyle Busch, you on the hot list this week, man. So moving right into the who's not. I started talking about it a little bit earlier. Got to be Denny Hamlin making the not list, man. I mean, the bullshit he pulled on Larson. Come on, man. Like, you should know better as a team owner. And this is what I'm getting at. Not only are you a team owner and a face of an organization per se, you're a team ownership with a minority owner in the sport. Michael Jordan is a minority ownership in the sport of NASCAR. And you have the only African-American driver behind the wheel of one of your race cars. And for some reason in your mind, it's okay to post something about a guy that's Asian-American that cost your guys the race team wins. I don't know. I'm just saying, if it was me, I would assume that Michael Jordan had a conversation with him about that. I would assume that Bubba did as well. And I know that him and Kyle Larson are really good friends, and I'm sure that Kyle Larson probably didn't take it as serious as 99% of the folks that are out here did. But at the end of the day, in that kind of position in the sport, you got to know better than to do that. You got to know you're going to catch backlash. You're going to catch some heat on that, man. So NASCAR's holding his feet to the fire. He's going to have to walk the coals through sensitivity training, man. We've seen quite a few guys have to go through this, Larson himself included. So there again, it's just kind of the way of the world and the times we live in right now. But hopefully, as I said earlier, he comes out at the end of the tunnel with a new outlook on it and a little bit more educated, man. Because at the end of the day, racism's racism. Doesn't matter who it's against, white folks, black folks, Asian folks, it don't matter who it's against, man. So hopefully, like I said, Denny gets it straightened out, man, and definitely doesn't make the same mistake twice, I would hope not. So another guy I had to kind of touch base on, and I hadn't really talked about it too much this year. I've tried not to give him too hard of a time, and it's got to be Bad Brad, man. I think when we talked about this next gen and he made the announcement of being a partial owner over there at Roush Fenway and putting his last name on it as well and his talent behind the wheel, I think everybody thought that we would see a big leap, at least for, RFK racing. I think, Roush in my day was one of the most dominant teams. I mean, had 5 race cars out there at one time, Edwards and Kenseth and Burton, and I mean, he's had everybody, Mark Martin, and I mean, he's had everybody out there race for him. Great stable, great organization, great owner. And we kind of saw that dwindle over the years. And I think that with Keselowski, I think it will come back. I just expected a bigger leap for it this year. So not only have we seen him, get penalized on that level 2 penalty and lose a lot of points and a lot of stuff, We also see him struggle at some of the best racetracks where I don't think he should struggle. I mean, Talladega and Daytona restrictor plate. I mean, he's obviously the best guy out there right now at Talladega. He's got the most wins of any active driver. So you would expect him to have a really good run there, and he didn't. He didn't show any kind of speed or any kind of contention there almost all day long. So, again, I just think it's something that they got to get figured out and get it lined out. I think eventually they will. It might not be this season. It might not be the next season. But I think as an organization, the more data they get, they'll build some better race cars and put some more money back into it and maybe get competitive again. I really hope they do. A lot of good stories there with Jack Roush. Honestly, his brother used to stay one row back behind us in Atlanta every single year, and I can't tell you how many times I've met the Cat in the Hat and got the autograph, and he just would walk over to his brothers after a race or before a race or during a race. So there again, it's just a piece of my childhood history I remember, and just such an awesome guy. You definitely want to see that organization come back into its prime. So hopefully Keselowski can get him steered, but as of right now, he's on the cold list, man. So moving right into that Dega recap, we're going to talk about Talladega. As I said earlier, Ross Chastain brings home that win there at the wild, crazy Talladega, man. Great run by the Watermelon Man. I'm not going to take anything away from him. We all know anybody can go out and more than likely win Talladega. Right place, right time, right move, right little bit of help, and you end up with a checkered flag in your hand, and we saw that happen with Chastain. So big shout out to them at Trackhouse Racing, man. A lot of excitement, always is at Talladega. We saw a couple really pretty good wrecks there. It got a little crazy there towards the end as well with that finish, as pretty much that's what you wait for when you watch that Talladega race. You know there's going to be at least a big wreck, and you wait for that finish because I tell you, they never, ever cease to amaze there at Talladega. So there again with the next-gen car, did great things right there, man. Did great things. Bubba had it, man. He had it going. He was close, but no cigar. Not this time, man. He'll get another shot at it later on in the season there in the chase. So we'll see what he can do, man. But, hey, speaking of Bubba, 23-11 looked poised to get one of the first wins of the season. And it just didn't work out that way, man. I think Kurt Busch and him were both in great spots. Wrong move, wrong time, wrong lane choice, man, and somebody else's mistake cost you your win or cost you a great finish. So at the end of the day, that's just the nature of the beast there at Talladega, something every single driver deals with, every organization deals with. We'll have to wait and see if they can get it together on some of these short intermediate tracks and run a little bit more consistently. But for right now, that was probably going to be their best shot, I would think, for the next couple weeks. But I'll bite my tongue if they go out and win Dover. I mean, it's happened before. I've said stuff like this and somebody goes and wins. So, but there again, good runs going. If they keep it going, put themselves in the right place, they'll get that win this year. So, hey, moving right in, Dover, the Monster Mile, man. This is one of my favorite races of the year. I wish they still went there twice. These guys are absolutely amazing. Not only is it a very tough track to handle, it is a very unique track, mile, concrete, 24-degree banking. So the same banking as the old Atlanta, 9 in the straightaways, but it's on a 1-mile concrete track. People like to call this a short track. I don't really know what category you put Dover in because you're not able to use the bumper per se as you do on a normal short track. It is very fast. It is very violent. It is very demanding out of the driver behind the wheel. On your body, a lot of compression. There's a lot of G's being pulled, and it's bumpy in places. So we're going to have to wait and see what this next-gen car does there at Dover. Like I've said, I think that after watching Martinsville, if we're going to run a similar short track package and that's what you're going to bring, that tire compound has definitely got to soften up. You've got to see some tire wear big time here at Dover. If you don't, it is going to be all about track position, period. We all know track position is king anyways, but at least if we get some tire wear, you're going to see some guys spread out, multi-groove, find different ways around the racetrack, and maybe get on some different strategies there towards the end and older tires, new tires, and see how that works out versus track position. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, but I really hope NASCAR did some homework, brought a softer compound here to Dover, and we're going to see some tire wear. If we see that, I think we're going to see a lot of lead changes, a lot of good racing, and a lot of passing. Without it, I think we're going to see something very similar to Martinsville, which you can guarantee Monday after that race, every single NASCAR fan is going to complain and bitch on social media about everything about the next-gen car being wrong. So there's another $1 in there. Hey, as I said, last year, man, we saw Team Hendrick sweep this thing 1, 2, 3, 4. First time that ever happened in their organization history. Man, they're all favorites. We got Kyle Larson going off as the favorite from Vegas, and the next three are all in line behind him. Do I think we're going to see a repeat? I would probably bet against that, just due to the fact, there again, brand new race car. We don't have any data to go off of, man. We don't know what's going to happen here at Dover. I don't know if they're going to do it. I expect a couple of them contend. They're going to see. We'll have to wait and see who's on that top 5 list and who's on the money bet lines. But I tell you what, I don't know about seeing all 4 again. I don't know about seeing Kyle Larson win it, but I got one of them picked out this week to win it, and you're going to have to wait and see to find out who, man. But, hey, Bowman came away with the win. 1, 2, 3, 4 finish there at Dover. We'll have to wait and see Sunday if they can do it all over again. I'd love to see it, to be honest. Top 5. Hey, man, I've only done this a couple times this year through 10 races. We're getting into kind of some racetracks that my main man, Chase Elliott, runs good at. We got Dover this week. We got Darlington next week. I'm telling you right now, I'm taking Chase Elliott this week, number 1, to go out and get it done finally in the 2022 season. Point system, great. Hey, man, been finished consistent, been getting those points, been doing his thing. I mean, great runs, man, very quiet. It's almost Matt Kenseth-esque, if you will. We go back to Kenseth only winning one race and winning the championship there in the early 2000s. But he's yet to win one, and I'm not used to saying that. By this time, he's at least already got one or become very close, and he did come close at a couple. But I'm taking him number 1 this week. Gonna go get it done at Dover, man. He's coming home with Miles, the Monster Trophy, probably one of the coolest trophies in all of sports. I think it's an awesome looking trophy. Yeah, that's a badass trophy, man. So hopefully he goes and gets it done at Dover. I don't think he's got a career win there yet, but I know it's one of his best racetracks. I want to say out of the last 6 races, he's got an average finish of 4th or right under 4th. He's got to go get it done this week, man. Chase, go get him, man. Number 2 for me, a guy like I talked about getting hot earlier. Going to be the M&Ms of Kyle Busch, man. I think there again, after getting that win on that Bristol dirt, solid finish there at Talladega, coming home 3rd. 18's poised to go out and have another really great run at Dover. I know he can get it done. I think week in and week out, it doesn't matter what racetrack we go to, what kind of racing we're doing, Kyle Busch has got to be put in the conversation of competing for a win. I probably wouldn't have said that last year or the year before. He had a couple really kind of down off years. But this year, just seeing kind of how it's folded out from the start and his comments to finally getting it put together, I'll take him number 2 this week. 3 for me, another Hendrick driver, Kyle Larson. He can go out and win there again anywhere. I don't think we've seen the dominance this year so far that we saw last year through this point. We saw the 5-car really, really dominating some races early in the season and just continuing a streak of just being up front, if not winning, being up front, contending for those wins. There again, that next-gen car has really tightened this field up. I think it's kind of thrown some of these bigger teams for a loop. They've been, for so many years, building their own stuff and hiring these engineers and different folks to come and set these cars up and build these parts and these chassis and different things. So, matter of time, they'll get it figured out, but I'm never going to bet against the 5 of Kyle Larson either. I'll take him 3rd. 4 for me, another Hendrick car, man. I've got 3 in the top 4. I mean, I told you I wasn't far off. I don't think they'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 finish, but I think one of them's got a good chance at winning, and that's going to be Willie the Kid Byron, man. I tell you what, William has done a lot of good things this year. First guy to win 2 races. There again at Talladega, man, he was up front. He was contending there for a while. I thought he had a shot. Wasn't his day, just didn't happen out that way, man. But I think there again, simulation racing is paying off. It's showing what it can do for you as a race car driver, not only on but off the track as well. And William Byron is one of the best at it. So look out for old Willie B out there to maybe come out and steal a win there at Dover this weekend. Number 5 for me is Joey Logano. There again, guy we talked about last week. You would have figured ran really good at Talladega. Think he had himself in a pretty good position. Kind of got shuffled out there and caused a big one, if you will. And there's only so much you can do as a driver. But there again, we're going in somewhere Dover. Mile, I think that he's Mr. Consistency throughout the season so far. He's had really good runs. He's had a couple bad ones. But I think he could also go out and definitely get it done here coming into Dover this weekend for sure. So moving to those dark horses. Couple guys, man, that, I mean, they're not too deep in that field. They're not too far off. But I will tell you, the 4 of Kevin Harvick. I mean, I look for him coming to Dover. This was probably one of his worst racetracks for a majority of his career. I mean, a very long time. Until he got with Rodney Childers, he couldn't figure it out. And Childers made it a point to figure out what they needed to do with the car to make Kevin feel a little more comfortable and get it down. Since then, he's come away with a couple wins. He's led a ton of laps there. I think if there's somewhere for him to go out and get a win in this next-gen car and get a feel for it, Dover is definitely a really good place for that 4 car. So we'll have to wait and see if Harvick can put it up front and be in the right place at the right time and come away with that win. But I know know he's really needs one to kind of shoot a spark underneath him, man. 50-plus races without one, and that's something to say about Kevin Harvick. So he maybe Dover's place, he gets it knocked out and gets that win, man. Other dark horse, like I said, not going too dark. It's got to be the 99 of Daniel Suarez, man. We've seen his teammate over there at Trackhouse Racing already come away with 2 wins this season. You can guarantee that Pitbull and Marks are trying to get this guy a win as well. They want both those teams in that 16. And I really hate when people sit here and go, statistically, none of them are really in. I mean, statistically, Ross Chastain is going to be in. I don't care what anybody says. But, you know, Kyle Busch, after the win at Bristol, oh, he's not locked into the playoffs. Man, it's going to take some craziness for this guy not to make it. I've said it a million times. I went back through and looked. There's only been a couple times where there's 16 guys, not even 16 guys that win, but more than 16 guys that compete for the last 2, 3, 4 playoff spots. The only one that really comes to mind in history to talk about is the manipulation year where you had Clint Boyer and you had Martin Truex Jr. kind of manipulate the playoff system and put a guy in or put a guy out, which we all know what ended up happening. It kind of knocked Ryan Newman out of it. And then we thought Truex was going to be in it. And, well, then they took Truex out and disqualified him and put Ryan Newman right back in it. So that's one to come to mind. But these guys are going to make those playoffs, no hands down. If there's anybody out there that says otherwise, I would love to hear a comment about it. Write it in there, man. Tell me about it. But I can guarantee you those guys are in the playoffs, man. But moving into the money bet, as I told you, I'm taking my main man, Chase Elliott, for the win. The odds aren't great, but I think it's a solid bet. I think that we're going to see a lot, not too many far shot odds this year. You're going to see a lot more guys tightened up through that mid-range odds just for the fact of how this next-gen car is racing. But there again, I got to go with Chase, man. I'll take him this weekend to go get the job done out there at Dover for sure. And, hey, like I said, a couple other guys to watch out for. I talked about the 4-car of Harvick earlier, 19 of Martin Truex Jr. as well. This is a spot where he got his first career win in a Cup Series car way back from Michael Waltrip Racing. So I tell you what, I think he's got a knack for it. If there's a place that 19 can go out and show a little dominance, it's there again at Dover. So a little bit better odds than Elliott. Still not a huge money payout there, but we're getting ready to get into one. If you want to take a dark one and it's really not too far down, we're going to talk about it now, man. That's the Daniel Suarez bet, man. So Daniel Suarez right now, Vegas has him 40-1 or plus 4,000 or however you want to look at it. Dude, that's pretty good odds for a guy that's been up front contending week in and week out. His teammates got wins. We know they're coming out with the same equipment, not the same driver, car setups, not the same driving style. But, man, this is his best racetrack statistically as a driver through his career. He averages a finish right above 14, 13.6, 13.8, somewhere in there. Suarez average finish throughout his career, man. So at 40-1, I'll take that all day. I'll throw a little bit of money down on that, and maybe the guy from there in Mexico comes home and gets a win, man. His first career Cup Series win as well. And I'd love it. I'd love to see it. I think it would just add to the list there again of first-time winners we've seen this year and new faces for the old races, man. So hopefully maybe Daniel Suarez can go out. But if you're looking for that guy with some good odds and maybe a good shot, Daniel Suarez is going to be your best bet this week at 40-1, y'all, for sure. So moving right into that hard right turn, this is something I kind of pick out something and I get to talk crap. Well, we'll say shit. We'll donate another $1 in there tonight. I'm not even drinking, but I've had that kind of week, y'all. I got $4 or $5, $4 in there so far, $3. I tell you what, man, NASCAR and its grand ideas is what we're going to talk about. I talked about it earlier with Phelps, and I talked about new things and what we're going to see in NASCAR and what we're going to do. And his main point of focus, and I've been saying this for 3 years that I've been doing this show. Even before that, we've had conversations inside coaches, and I've talked about it. It's the youth in the sport, not necessarily behind the wheel. It's the eyes on the sport. How many young kids you see at that racetrack? How many families, how many dads and moms you see bringing their kids, putting their eyes on that racetrack? But not only, getting them involved in the sport and putting eyes on it and loving it, but teaching the history, teaching them where the sport came from, teaching them how far it's come as an organization and the rise and fall of what we've seen through NASCAR. And now we're on the incline. I mean, NASCAR as a company's got a big surplus of money and they're trying to figure out ways to spend it. I think some of their ideas that they're talking about are just ridiculous. The international racing, I don't think should ever happen. A street court race, should never, ever happen in NASCAR, period. And the dirt, for sure, to me, it's got to go. I mean, I think it puts on a great show for the fans, but it's not NASCAR. And these are all things of trying to get that next generation of NASCAR fan or of race fan to tune in and watch NASCAR. My generation right now is the one carrying the sport, to be honest. The let's say 35 to 50, 35 to 45 generation, that's carrying the sport, man. I tune in every single Sunday and watch it, and a lot of us do. There's a lot of my friends that are my age that grew up watching the sport and loving it and are into it. I absolutely love where we're at the sport. I don't think that we should make these drastic changes after we're coming off making the drastic changes of a brand new race car for NASCAR. I think this is something we need to take a look at after this season's over. Maybe do some rescheduling, as I've said numerous times. Maybe build some new racetracks. Maybe go to some different racetracks at different times of the year. I think one of the best ideas we talked about even before we went to Atlanta. Atlanta being a brand new racetrack, I don't see why Atlanta's not in the chase. I really don't. And I think it would be awesome to take Atlanta and run a super speedway package as we saw there in March and move that second date back to October. The weather's great in October in Atlanta. All right, it's nice. It's beautiful outside. It's not 9,000 degrees like it's going to be in July. I've been to Labor Day races. I've been to March races, November races, October races. I've been to all kinds of races in Atlanta. I've seen it snow. I've seen it be sunny. I've seen it be 10,000 degrees on Labor Day. I've seen it pour down 9 inches of rain. You never know. But I would love to see that second race be moved to October. And hey, instead of running a super speedway package, let's run the higher horsepower package. Let's not give these guys any kind of data to set this car up. Let's do 2 totally different kinds of setups for the cars on the same racetrack and see what comes out of that. I mean, there's just so many ideas out there that we can work with what they have in the youth movement and the incline of the sport as it is now, compared to putting a lot of money into it and praying that more people tune into it and more younger people get interested in the sport. I've said it all along. It takes a special parent to put kids into racing. Not only one, for what it is, but 2, the money of it. It is very expensive, the traveling of it. It's like travel baseball, man. You've got to be gone every single weekend out of the year. You've got to be training. You've got to be practicing. You've got to be in these tournaments. You've got to get your name out there, and you've got to have really good equipment. It's not like baseball where I'm talented. I've got abilities. I can pick up the same baseball as somebody that's got the same abilities and do the same things. It's not that way. In NASCAR, if you don't have good equipment, or in racing in general, if you don't have good equipment, you can have the most talented guy behind the wheel, and yeah, he might run it better than 9 of the 10 guys out there, but he's not going to contend every single week. When you go out and you got a 14-year-old kid racing against grown men budget, you got to do it, man. You got to figure out a way. So NASCAR's just got to kind of get it together. Like I said, it's something I wanted to bring up. I would love to hear how you guys feel about that. What changes can NASCAR make inside the sport now to maybe attract the younger generation? My main focus is, like I said, working with what we got in the entertainment aspect at the track for the youth. So maybe we'll see what they do after this year. Maybe NASCAR kind of does some things, gets some more implemented things there for youth at the racetracks, outside the racetracks. But we're going to have to wait and see what they decide to do, man. So, hey, that's going to wrap it up for the rubbing. We're moving right on into the grubbing. And this kind of goes and coincides right along with the money bet. Man, I tell you what, I'm going to get in on it this week. I've got something that I really enjoy out of here. It's a quick little snack. A lot of places do it, but I tell you what, it is awesome. That is going to be that chicken quesadilla here at Coach's, man. You got bacon, bell peppers, onions, cheese, salsa, sour cream. You can get it any way you want it, man. You want jalapenos in here? You want buffalo chicken? You want pizza? Yeah, put pizza in a quesadilla up here at Coach's for you. Anything that you want, man. But I'm telling you right now, in honor of Daniel Suarez, going out at 40-1, winning at Dover, and winning me and Lawrence some pretty big little money line bets right here. That's what I'm praying for. I'm gonna eat a piece of this just to honor him, and I'm putting it out there, putting the vibes out there in the universe, man. Daniel Suarez is gonna go out and get it done. Hopefully, I end up with him in my game of skill tonight too, just to put icing on the cake, man. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, man. We're getting right on into the other part of the show. What we're going to talk about now is that green-white checkered, man. If you got to tune in Sunday morning, every Sunday, 9 to 9:30, PJ Zuko and myself breaking down everything NASCAR before that race, kind of getting you caught up from where I leave off midweek. And PJ does an amazing show hosting that there, allowing me to be a part of it. I'm grateful for that every single time I get to go on, man. But I tell you, we're going to have a lot to talk about this week coming up. We're going to get you caught up on that news. We're going to give you our picks for the weekend. And we're going to talk about things that are going on in the sport, man. So like I said, if you have not yet, make sure you check that out. ESPN 104.3. every single Sunday, 9 to 9:30. You can go back and catch some of those episodes through SoundCloud if you'd like. You can also listen live on ESPN 104.3 on their website. So like I said, if you're having trouble tuning it in, click that website, man. Listen live. Check that out. Green, White, Checkered every Sunday, 9 to 9:30, man. Getting into those coaches shows, y'all. Big shout out there to my main man, Mr. Carl DeMasi. Love him. He's coming up here with Kyle Larson on that Who's on First Base. That's coming up right after Rubbin' and Grubbin' gets done, y'all. Make sure you tune in. Going to get you caught up on everything Major League Baseball has to offer. I tell you what, man, the Braves, we got to start getting it together a little bit, man. We're young in the season, but got to win there. Hopefully we pull another one out. But, man, I tell you what, we got to kind of get a little bit more consistency to it. I think that missing Ronald Acuna right now is hurting pretty good. I think once we get him back and we manipulate that lineup a little bit and some more guys get solid in the lineup, Braves going to be just fine, man. We got a long way to go. They're going to be just fine, y'all. But, hey, also make sure you tune in every Sunday or Saturday morning right here for the Carl DeMasi Sports Report. Going to break down all kinds of different sport news, everything local, everything national. The man is a genius when it comes to it. He knows what he's talking about. So, like I said, make sure you tune in Lawrence? Right around 9 o'clock? 9 o'clock on Saturdays? 9 o'clock every Saturday right here, Coach's Corner, the center of the universe, man. Big shout out there to Hot Grits. You can stream that podcast anywhere you stream your podcast, man. Travis and Spencer do an amazing job breaking down all kinds of things in sports. These guys are hilarious. They take and put their own twist on it, man. They talk about what they're feeling, what they're doing. Sometimes they talk about what they did last night or over the weekend, man. They are some funny guys. Such an amazing, great show out there. Make sure you tune in to Hot Grits there anywhere you stream your podcast, man. Definitely an awesome show as always. And, hey, man, 19th hole. If y'all hadn't watched it yet, go check it out on YouTube. I'm going to see if I can't talk to one of them at least coming up and doing a little bit of major golf this year. So we'll see maybe a Saturday and Sunday they can't come up, spare 10, 15, 20 minutes, talk about where they're at, talk about who did good in their rounds for that weekend, and maybe, guest pick for Sunday's winners, man. I'd be down to pop up on the show, call in, whatever it may be, just to give them somebody else. But if you did watch it, you know that I don't know nothing about golf that's going on right now. So, but anyways, that's going to wrap it up for tonight, y'all. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Want to give a big shout out there, as always, to John and Adele Henderson, man, two of the best folks that I know. Such charitable people allowing me to come up and do my show up here at Coach's. This has always been an awesome, awesome place to do it. An awesome, awesome time. And, hey, like I said, man, they do the best live music in the Sound Garden right here on the backside of Coach's Corner. If you have not been up here to check it out, make sure you go check out, either get the Coach's app, check out their Facebook page. It's going to keep you up to date on everything music-wise that's happening. And they've got some really, really, really good shows lined up here coming through, man, throughout July already, August already. There are some shows. There's 3 of them back-to-back there in July. I'm going to be probably here every single Saturday to watch them, because there's 3 back-to-back that are really, really good that are coming up. So, like I said, best place to catch live music right here, Coach's Corner, Thunderbolt, Georgia. Big shout-out and thanks to John and Adele again, man. Hey, I hope everybody out there is having a great Wednesday, man. I do want to give a big shout out to my dad really quick. He had some surgery today. Everything went well. He's in the recovery room. He's going to be in there for 4 days or so. Hopefully his stubborn ass, I'll go ahead and throw another $1 in there, will make some changes. Knowing my dad, he won't, but I can't wait for him to get out. I'm going to get him up here. I'm going to get him to call in some point in time. But I tell you what, love you, man. I'm glad everything went good for you today. And I hope everybody else out there has a great evening. As I say all the time, hug your loved ones, man. Give them a big kiss. Hold them close, because like I always say, tomorrow is not guaranteed, man. So always keep them close to you. Make sure you tune in Sunday to this race here at Dover. I promise you it's going to be a monster of one. Haha, no pun intended. But it is going to be an awesome race, man. Make sure you tune in and support this NASCAR stuff we got going on. Make sure you tune in right here every Wednesday live for Rubbin' and Grubbin', Coach's Corner, the center of the universe, Thunderbolt, Georgia. But hey, y'all, till next time, stay safe. And as always, boom, wash your hands, y'all. Love you, man.